Hi, everyone. Welcome to Luminous Human School. I'm Kristi Sandino, and I'm here with Lindsay Davis.
Hello, my friends.
Mm, We were just talking before we started this call about this beautiful channeled energy that came through Lindsay, and she felt like spirit was giving her a hug.
It was so
And
nice.
that energy, I just want to share that with each of you and want you to know how much you are loved and adored.
hmm Yes.
Life loves you.
Spirit is
And
always looking out.
sometimes it doesn't feel that way
Mm,
because sometimes we have big disappointments.
yeah.
And that's what we want to talk about today is navigating disappointment because even through big disappointment, we're always loved. Spirit is always cheering for us, holding us,
Yeah.
just loving us forward.
Mm, it's so true. Like, even though it feels like at times we're all alone, maybe, Spirit's still there looking out for us and giving us signs and ways to move forward.
Yeah. Yeah. So, disappointment. Oh,
Mm.
not fun.
Mm.
And we all feel it sometimes.
Yeah.
It happens. And one of the reasons why we thought to talk about this today is because I just got to go through a nice big disappointment.
I mean, I hate to laugh. It's just the way you said it. It's like, oh, here's me. I had to deal with this recently.
Yeah, so it's fresh and I just navigated the experience and felt like there's just so much to share about moving through these spaces. So we thought it would be supportive and helpful to talk about this today. I
hmm
mean, who hasn't experienced disappointment?
We
And
all
thought at the same time, like, why? Why is this happening?
Ugh.
Are you kidding me?
It's such a natural response to it. Is that like, are you kidding me? Really? Come on.
Yeah. So there's different ways we can experience disappointment. It can be, seemingly things happening to us that kind of come out of the blue.
Mm,
It can be feeling disappointed in ourselves, like we didn't live up to our own expectation or code of conduct or morals or values, something maybe fell short.
yeah.
Or it can be disappointment in another person, feeling like their behavior or their choices was not aligned with who we know them to be or how we expect to be treated in our friendships, relationships.
hmm
So I feel like those are kind of the three big ways, like umbrellas over where disappointment can happen. And my disappointment happened around that first category. So I'll just share with you.
Please share it.
I was on vacation. I was out of the country in Mexico, was just ecstatic to be going on vacation and had planned it with love, felt like this trip was a gift of self-love,
Mm,
was so excited about the little port town that I was in, just the sweetest place. And pretty much at exactly the halfway point of my vacation, I got so sick.
Yeah.
Oof, like the travel bug of all travel bugs.
Ugh, so awful.
It was so awful. So sick, sick, sick. Um, was it happened as I was moving from one place I was staying in to the other. So it kind of hit me the last night I was in one place, and the next day I was moving to the next hotel I was staying in.
Mm, okay.
And I was so sad. I cried. I was, first of all, I think I cried because I was so sick. I was just like so depleted.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it takes it out of you, in your energy, your whole body, your
yeah, just
emotions.
physically just wrecked.
Yeah.
And then just, yeah, like once your physical stamina is kind of gone, then those emotions, wow, they just come right to the surface.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I cried, I felt so sad. And at first I did try and just, just put on a brave face and be like, probably just
Mm,
food poisoning. This will probably pass in like 24 hours. I'll be fine. So I cried, but then I was like, it'll probably be fine. It'll probably be just fine. Let me just, take some activated charcoal. I'll be fine.
boom, knock it out.
Yeah.
If only.
Well, needless to say, because we were talking about this today, that's not what happened. I was sick for the rest of my trip. And then a good 4 days after I got home.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of time to really get in the nitty gritty of what was coming up for me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And needless to say that, everything's going to be okay. This will just pass. Moment didn't last. And I think to a certain degree, I was still fighting, allowing myself to just feel what was happening.
Yeah.
And when I finally just kind of broke and was just like, I don't know what to do here. I'm frustrated. I went into the story. I can't believe this is happening. This isn't fair. This is my vacation. I shouldn't be getting sick on vacation. Plus, I'm so high vibe. How could this happen to me?
Nothing bad is ever supposed to happen when I'm feeling
Right.
bad vibe.
Right. If I'm doing all my practices, how could I ever experience a bad moment or feeling?
That is another episode for sure.
Well, and it's part of this episode.
Well, for sure. I'm just like, we could
Yeah.
go down the rabbit hole with that one.
Yeah. Because, well, just to touch on that,
Yeah.
we don't do our practices and we don't live a life connected to spirit and the divine and wanting to call in our highest good to never feel anything bad again. I mean, that's what
Right.
I mean. Of course, we don't want to feel bad things or low emotions, but
We're still human.
we're human beings having a 3D experience.
Yep.
And and as much as I always want to call in growing through ease and joy and having like lessons that aren't overly dramatic, we do learn through difficulty. And even if we're not pulling the good out of things, like life ebbs and flows. It's the nature of the way energy flows. It just flows up and down. It's
Mhm.
just seems to be part of the way this universe works.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we've got duality for a reason. We've got, both ends of the spectrum, and sometimes we go one way, sometimes we go another. And it's learning to navigate some of that, the ups and the downs and the ebbs and the flows, because it's just part of our human experience. Just like you said, life in general, this universe, that's how it works.
Yeah. So, one of the first things I did when I really was just feeling kind of at the end of my rope with frustration about how I was feeling was I reached out to Lindsay and just asked her if she had time to talk. Um, and thank God she did, or, was generous enough to make time. Um, And one of the first things she said, which is one of the things that we say so many times in these podcasts that we do, is she said, it's okay for you to feel disappointed and angry and sad. Like, are you just letting yourself really, really feel those things?
Hmm.
And I realized that I hadn't just really gave myself full permission to say, yeah, this really sucks. And I'm sad and I'm angry and I'm frustrated and I'm allowed
Yeah.
to feel those things.
Yeah. Because
So
sometimes we,
just,
yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
that permission.
Yeah, it's like it's easy to be like, oh no, I've just got to keep reaching for the good feelings and I've got to feel good. I've got to feel good. That's how I manifest. But when we fight what we're actually feeling, it just fights us back and kind of grows stronger and stronger and stronger and creates more resistance. Where if we just let go, like, okay, this is what's happening right now. It's okay.
Yeah. So I think I had been thinking on some level, not fully conscious, but just thinking, well, the way I'll get well is by raising my vibration. I don't want to succumb to these feelings. I want to, yeah, be reaching for the next best thing I could feel in this moment. But that's kind of step two.
Yeah.
Step two is reaching for the next best feeling. Step one is allowing what's here to be felt.
Yes. That present moment awareness.
Yeah. And I for whatever reason just kind of needed that permission in that moment to, and that reminder,
Something like the reminder.
yeah, to say, yeah, just let that be there. It's valid.
Hmm.
So that was an important piece because I did feel a shift once I let myself feel those feelings and just said, yeah, I'm on vacation and I'm really sick and I'm mad.
Yep.
I'm really mad that this happened.
Isn't how I envisioned it.
Right.
Not there.
Yeah. So I did feel a shift after I gave myself permission to feel those things. And just to touch on that, the what that looks like for me and what we've talked about in other episodes is letting go of the thoughts. It's not, feeling anger doesn't mean continuing to tell myself thoughts that make me angry. It's just
Right.
feeling what's here in my body.
Hmm.
And if it feels resonant, noticing where that feels most alive in my body. So it might be like my stomach and saying, yes, I'm feeling anger and it feels like there's really kind of like a ball of anger in my stomach. And then placing my hands there, maybe breathing into it and just allowing, just saying, yes, this is here, not trying to shift it, not trying to change it, not trying to do it for the reason of making it move, but
Yeah.
doing this, feeling it, placing your hand on your body and breathing is invariably going to move it, but you're doing it really for the purpose of allowing your experience and acknowledging the truth of what's arising in you.
Mm-hmm. And you might notice thoughts still coming up, stories still coming up, and oh, well, this is wrong, and this is also why I'm not this, or, those stories that just kind of pull you down even more into that not great feeling. And that's, it's about just having the awareness around them. And that's part of the practice, is noticing what kinds of thoughts are arising without going down the rabbit hole with them. Just, oh, interesting. That thought is there. Where else is that alive in my life that I might not be aware of? And you might not do that practice in that moment, but just kind of keeping, I don't know, just kind of keeping an eye out for those later on, because those are the subconscious thoughts that start to rise up when you're feeling kind of low, that you can be aware of later on in your life when you're feeling a little bit better, and they might be there and you're not noticing them. But so if you
Yeah.
can come into that space of just awareness of the thoughts, but then dropping back into the body, coming back to the present moment, that's such a beautiful practice. And it lets you let go of feeling worse, feeling worse, feeling worse, feeling worse, and just being present with
Yeah.
what is.
Yeah. So I did that on and off for the I had 2 more days at that point where I was in Mexico. And so I dropped into that space probably 2 or 3 times a day on 2 days, not for long periods, but just noticing what was there, allowing myself to feel. And that felt like enough, just short periods of time to do that.
Mm.
And like I said, I did start to feel better right away. And I would say those thoughts that you just mentioned, Lindsay, if they're thematic, like nothing ever works out for me, or why do these things always happen to me? Jot those down.
Mm.
Because, like you were saying, when we feel really good, we don't really have access to some of those kind of thought patterns that arise in us. So it's a little window, like we can say,
Mhm.
okay, well, my defenses are down, and some of these repeating negative thoughts that might be living in me are coming up to the surface into my awareness. And
Yeah.
instead of getting hooked into them and saying, yes, that's true, yes, I believe that, you can jot it down and say, is that true? I feel like we might want to look at that later.
Yeah. That's probably not true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, being really aware that a lot of these negative thoughts that come up within us are stories that we started believing, or other people's stories that we started believing long time ago. And we can release them. We don't have to buy into them. So it does take a little bit of conscious presence, and that's tricky when we're in those lower emotional states, because that's when we'll more quickly buy into those thoughts. But we're
Yeah.
planting the seed
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that you can put it in your back pocket and play with this when the time feels right.
Yeah. And like we say on so many things, like, this is a practice. So, maybe you don't catch them right away, but now the seed is there. And maybe the next time you're kind of feeling a little lower, you have more of awareness to start noticing those thoughts. And over time, that starts to get easier and you start to call them out. You're like, nope, not true. Not doing that. I'm not doing that. I've been doing, this practice around these thoughts for very intentionally for, I don't know, the past few months. And sometimes I will have a day where I'm feeling those thoughts come in pretty intensely and it's a bit more challenging, but I have a different kind of awareness around them. And as they come in, I'm less likely to completely go down the rabbit hole with them and let it just fully take over my day. Now it's sort of like, okay, I see you. I see what's happening here. I'm noticing you. I still am feeling a little low today, but I see what's going on and I'm aware I'm not gonna dive in right now. I'm gonna focus on if I can't find joy, I'm gonna focus on what I can do to help myself feel a little bit better. So
Right.
this is its own journey of practice to work with this. And over time it gets easier, you catch them faster, and then when at some point you'll have a thought that comes up that you used to believe and you're like, no, that's not even true. I don't believe that at all. Nope.
Yeah.
Not even a chance. Whereas it could have been a thought that was so ingrained in you, you believed it so hardcore. As you practice this, you'll eventually let it go and be like, yeah, that's a total lie. Mm-mm. And then you move on.
Mhm.
And you move on.
Yeah. You can also take those thoughts and rewrite them into affirmations and work with them.
Sure.
So, what's a good example? What did I just say? Some of the things I just said, like, why is this happening to me?
Oh, yeah.
Something like that. You can always say,
Brings a message out for me.
life loves me.
Love that one.
No, even when I can't see all the reasons, I know things are working out in my highest good.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
It can be gentle. It doesn't have to be something like life loves me. If you're coming from why does something like this always happen to me, might feel like too big of a leap. So
Yeah.
could be, that you do like a connecting, like I'm willing to see how life works out for me. I'm willing to
Mm-hmm.
see how life loves me.
Mm-hmm.
Things that feel more true.
Yeah. It's possible for things to feel better. It's just those steps and yeah, those feel so good to come out of that and be like, you know what, this is possible. Okay. I like the one you say when it's like, I'm willing to see this differently. I'm willing to experience this differently. Because that's such a
Yeah.
easeful.
And it's sending a message to your body that you're willing to see something differently. You're
Mhm.
encouraging yourself to then look for how that could be different.
Yeah.
So, what happened for me is as I allowed myself to feel and got home and started feeling better, I was able to start looking back in hindsight and seeing that even though I wasn't willing yet to say, okay, I feel blessed that I got sick or the illness, was like in my highest good. I
Yeah.
was able to look back and see all the blessings that happened around me and how I was cared for when I was sick.
Yeah.
So, my trainer, I was down in Mexico working with my trainer. She knew I was sick, and so she sent me the number for a doctor who comes to your hotel room. So I called him and he came within the hour.
Oh, he came that soon. Wow.
Yeah, within the hour, he came to my hotel room, gave me an IV, gave me medicine, called the pharmacy, had the pharmacy deliver medicine to my room as well.
Wow.
So I was like within, he was there for an hour and a half. Another hour after that, the pharmacy guy came, like
Love that.
completely supported and cared for in that way. I was
Mm.
staying at a boutique hotel that was run by this family, and they knew I was sick and treated me like a family member, checking on me,
So sweet.
texting me on WhatsApp saying whenever they were at the store, like, "Hey, I'm at the store. What do you need? I'll get you anything." I had asked for gluten-free crackers, and the woman texted me pictures of 2 kinds and was like, "Which one do you want?"
That's so sweet. Oh, how
So
much care and detail.
sweet.
Ah,
So
wow.
there there were so many ways that I was held and blessed and cared for in another country around people that I'd never met before. And I felt so loved. I would come out of my room to make a cup of tea, and if someone from the hotel saw me, they would say, "How are you? I've been worrying about you and thinking about you."
Oh,
And I mean,
so sweet.
so I was able to look back and see so many blessings
Mhm.
and see that even in a situation that felt so disappointing, I also felt so held.
Yeah, that's so
So,
cool. Yeah.
so mm, that's maybe, a step 3 or 4. It's not, you know, as you move through the disappointing experience, you can look in hindsight and start to pull some of the things you're grateful for out of the experience.
Yeah, definitely. And when you feel ready for that, because, we were talking about how, there's no specific time frame that you'll be like, okay, so how long do I have to feel the disappointment for? How long do I have to feel my feelings? As long as you feel you need to feel them. And it could be 5 minutes, it could be 20 minutes. It might, just like you were saying, you sat with those emotions a few times a day. So there's no like specific rules around this. It's being in tune with your body. And if you're feeling like some stuff is arising in you, give it some attention, be
Yeah.
with it, and just tune in, listen into what your body's asking for.
Yeah. And in situations where this is a disappointment with yourself or a disappointment with another, obviously, with another, there's probably a conversation that needs to happen where you get back on the same page. And so, that I would say, feel some of these feelings first. It's the same type of process. Like, be with what's alive for you first. There's no reason you have to like rush to tell someone something when you haven't first processed your own feelings.
Mm, that's
And
so
you
good.
can, if you're in an interaction with someone, you can say, "I need a break. I need to feel what's happening for me.
Mhm.
And then can we revisit this in an hour or in, whatever the time frame is that works for both of you, not just."
Mm.
But really, make it that both of you are committed to being in relationship with each other in a loving way. So even in moments of disappointment, you can express that in a way that's not like burning everything down. And so you're reaffirming whatever the commitments are. If it's a friendship, it might be, we just, you know, I want to honor that we tell each other the truth or tell each other how we're truly feeling. Or if we say we're going to be somewhere at a certain time, that we do that, or do, that you said you'll do something for someone, that you'll do that. And I understand that it didn't happen this time. And can we just like recommit to that? So there's 1,000 nuances around this, but I just want to like give some light examples. So we're touching into some of the other ways that we can navigate disappointment.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And if it's with yourself,
Mm.
great time to acknowledge that didn't feel good to me. That didn't feel like I was in alignment with who I know myself to be. And so if you need to clean something up with another person, then that's how you do it. If you need to just clean it up with yourself, then you say, wow, this just isn't who I know myself to be. Or maybe it's, this isn't who I want to be anymore.
Oh, yeah. And you can
And use that as a jumping off point to say, I have a new level of clarity about who I feel like I am and how I want to interact with myself, the world, other people.
And that's really, I think, too, these moments that we might feel disappointment or just feel low, it can give us the opportunity to find more clarity, to find another direction, whatever it is, just reassess where you're going and what you want, how you want to show up, how you want to respond. So we can look at it at these moments as opportunities to see where we are and decide where we want to go next. So that clarity is like, don't forget that piece. It can be there. It can be showing you more, so that, as you are working on coming into higher vibrational states and feeling good and manifesting what you want, look at those moments as opportunities. When after you feel all the disappointment, after you get through that part,
Yeah.
and you see it as an opportunity for that growth process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There'll be something in there. There'll be something.
Always something in there.
Yeah. So we hope this gives you some ideas and tools for navigating your own disappointments. Just know that the same way that energy can flow down, it flows right back up again. So this too shall pass.
Mm-hmm.
And well-being is maybe moments away.
Could just be moments away. I'm open to that possibility.
Yes. And we thank you so much for being here with us. We love you so much.
We love you so much.